you've already practiced using this sheet. I've showed you that video. I'm doing something different this year, and I really like it. The kindergartners are the only ones that's actually done it. You will have little containers, and you will share with your shoulder buddy. And your containers look different than mine. They're just clear and white. I ran out, so I had to, my classes are so big, I needed to go get some more containers. In here is your glue. What I didn't like is the glue bottles were always getting congested and stopped up, and I don't like wasting your guys' time. So this is an idea that I got from another art teacher, and she uses these little containers, and these are yucky paint brushes that are actually come with watercolor sets. If you notice on the bottom, there is black tape. That means don't ever use these to paint with. I will soak these. I know how I say never to leave a brush in the bottom of the water, but I put some soap in there, and after we use them, and then I can put them back in. So when you start your project, you'll have a piece of paper that looks like this, or yours will be actually cut in half. And you decide if your image is on the left, then obviously it's going to be on the left. If you put this here, could you add to it? Obviously the answer is no. You're going to have a thicker piece of paper, and you're going to decide if you want this to be horizontal or if you want your paper to be vertical. That's totally up to you. What I do want you to do is make sure that you cut it nice and evenly around. We talked about nibbling, and not munching, because you get one of these. Please don't waste these, okay? And you want to have a border. A border means where you've left an edge around your paper, and it really just helps the image to stand out, or frame it, basically, is what it does. So you decide which direction you want. So do not have it all the way to the edge like this, because I really want it to stand out. Another thing, don't have it all the way to the bottom. I would prefer that not as well. Or you can have it more towards the left. You can have it right in the center. That is up to you. You can also decide if you want to put a background in. So if I move this over here, still have my border, and I'm sitting here contemplating, maybe it is okay to have it like this. The only reason why I say that, and you know, I really want you to have a border. I was going to say is the only reason why I say that is if you have it in the jungle or whatever, we can add that to the base of it. So go ahead and do the border like I said. I know I'm always changing my mind. But if I have it more over towards the left, you can create a background in there if you want to. So when you glue, you take your container, you open it up, and you're sharing with your shoulder buddy. You dip it in. If it drips, and I talked to the kindergartners about it and they love it, you wipe it on the lip. Not these lips, and we point to our lips and they say not these lips. It's so cute. So basically, you don't want to overdo it. You know, you don't need to get it on the barrel. You're sharing this with somebody, and then you go around the outside. A lot of times people use way too much glue. That's why another reason why I like this. Now, it's hard to see, I know, because it's white, but see where my finger is? There's no glue right there. And you go all the way around. Make sure that you're not dipping, that you're not dripping. Remember, we wipe it on the lip of the container, not these lips, as the kindergartners would say. And you go all the way around. If you get glue on your finger, guess what I tell the little kids? I said, just rub it and it comes off. It's like magic. So you don't need to go over there and wash your hands. You'll be good to go. And it takes me a little bit of time, but the nice thing is it's a smooth line. Then these will go up in the cup so you don't have glue everywhere. Then you'll close the lid, snap it. That's all you have to glue. I went all the way around. Very carefully, you're going to flip it, have it planned, kind of eyeball it where you want it so you have a frame. And trying to get it as even as you can. I also talked to the little kids about massaging, and we count. If it's something that you're we go 1 and a 2 and a 3, and we all count all the way to 10. But this, if you look, I have nothing on my fingers. It's magic. You want to actually come around and very carefully smooth that out with your fingers. I'm not ripping this paper. You really want this edge, you really want it to be down pretty good. Now, I would not recommend starting drawing on this right away because you could rip the paper if it's wet. So, you know, maybe set this aside. Your name this year is always going right here. I like it on the front. Do it nice and neat. This is your signature. I also talked to you about having drawing pencils, having regular pencils. These are the kindergarten pencils. This is just what I had back here. You can also use the black color pencils, the gray color pencils. When you're coming on this edge, you're not going to start with the grid. You know, you're not going to, that's why we practice this grid. Okay, hopefully that was helpful for you to understand how you want symmetry to be the same on the left as it is on the right. I, as an artist, and I think maybe it's because I'm right-handed, it is easier for me to take an image that's on the left and then draw it on the right. I struggle, and maybe it's because your hand is going the opposite direction. If you're left-handed and you need to have an image on this side, that's fine. Okay, I'm leaving that up to you. You get to choose your animal, you get to choose your image, choose left or right. Because if I had an image on this side, I would actually be crossing over it, and that must be why. Visually, you won't be able to see it. So, like I said, we'll get you set up if you're left-handed. If it's more natural, which I would think it would be, my two boys are left-handed, then you would have the image over here and you would be drawing. Start with the basic of what you see. And on an animal, and all these animals that you're going to have, the closest thing, because I cut the image right down the middle, is going to be the nose. Now, I've talked a little bit. I've made, you know, I didn't have any glue out here. I'm not going to draw on this paper. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Use your finger first. And if I see this, if I look at this using my artist eye, it's a curved line. And when we want to think about how far is this line coming out? Some of you, when you're going to do this, and this is what you need to remember, you might just stop right here and say, okay, well, that's enough. No, it's not. If you use your thumb, it's probably about right here. It's past my nail. So if I come over here, it should actually come out to this part. And you can draw a little dot there if you want. So it comes, it's straight out and up like a roller coaster. And then he has this beautiful curve in his nostril. Kind of hard to see. There's a curve in the nostril. You probably can't see it on the video. And then it has another curve. Ooh, very nice. And you will want to bring this out and then bring it up. This is where you pause. Now you look at it and you go, huh, I don't know. I think that's too much. So you take your eraser. I don't know if I have a nice, oh, I do have a nice eraser. Thank you guys for doing such a good job taking care of your erasers. These erasers are very nice. You want to be careful when you're erasing that you're not smudging. And you're taking your time. So it does come up. Maybe it curves here. Then I bring in my line. And there. I like that better. That looks a lot better. You notice how dark this is? So maybe you want to just start out basic and then bring in the darkness. That's totally up to you. Look at the contrast of how dark it would be and how light it would be. This is going to take you some time. Okay? When you're working on the edge of the paper, you also have to be careful that when you're using your pencil, you don't want to leave that gap there. Be very gentle, but you also don't want to cut your paper. Okay, so there's the beginning of my picture. Now, what I was telling you is if you want to add, and I don't want to add this now because I'll mess up my picture. See how this line is going down that way? So maybe you just start with a drawing of it, okay, to figure out what you think it looks like. And so right here, this, we know his jawline comes like here. That is what I would suggest. This is how I would do it. Then you know where the nostril comes out. It's kind of this rounded edge here. And then you come up. And then what do you have? You have your shape of your eye. You also have to be aware of your hands. If you need to take, because you could smear, you need to take a blank piece of paper, which I don't have right here, and set it here when you're doing it. So then you don't have the pencil. Okay, be aware of when you're wiping your erasers off. Then you would come back in and just continue. Now, these lines, like we talked about on the other, and you might have to cross over just a little bit to get that gap there. The direction of the fur, that's what you're looking for. The pattern, it's always easier to add more. See how I'm making this darker, and I started in lighter. Okay. Oh, he looks so cool. So I don't want to take up all your time again. So that is your project. You could add in, if you want, you don't want to take away from this. So if you add in a background and it messes up your animal, you don't want that to happen, okay? I cannot wait to see what these look like.